Hello friends, welcome to the series of lectures on digital marketing and e-commerce. I am Dr. Suchita Vishwakarma, Assistant Professor with Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. And today our topic of discussion is going to be e-business model based on relationship of transaction parties. Students, uh, since we have been talking a lot on digital marketing, and in the previous lecture also I talked about the e-commerce transactions. I talked about what is e-commerce. I made you also understand that what is the importance or rather advantages of e-commerce and why most of the companies are basically now coming up with the concept of e-commerce, why every company is now thinking of providing their products and services through e-commerce channel. We had also discussed that how government is also actually encouraging this particular industry a lot, and they also realize that this e-commerce industry would basically help each and every industry increase their business. Now, over here we need to understand that for improving the business of any company, there are certain models which are prepared, and these models, if properly adhered, properly followed by a company, would help them boost up their business, boost up their sales, and boost up their profits also. So, similarly, there have been various standard business models which were given by various academicians, authors, and people from the industry related to the industry specific performances. Now, over here we are going to talk about the e-business models, that means the business models which have been proposed by various people over the due course of time, and how these business models, if properly understood by you as a student and if you as a manager, would help the company improve their working process. So, this is what the intention is, to let us understand the relation, that how these models, what are these models and how these models are basically based on the relationship of transaction parties. So, let us understand, start with it. Let us understand that what is a business model. A business model is basically a method of doing business. For any person who is new entrant into any industry, he or she needs to understand that how the things needs to operate, how the industry operates, how the suppliers are there, what are the kind of suppliers, what are the kind of distributors, what is the most effective method of doing any business. So, there are various kinds of models which are given by various people across the industry, and this and proper understanding of business model helps any person to improve their business. So, there are, as I said, there are various kinds of business models which have been developed on the basis of the offline market, and which has also been developed on the basis of the online market and the performance of the online market. So, today we would restrict ourselves to the online market, that means the e-commerce channel, and the business model spells out basically how a company makes money by specifying where it is sitting and where it is positioned in the value chain. So, let us talk about the components of e-business model, since we would be talking about e-business model today. So, for any business model, specifically about the e-business model, there are certain things which are very important. First is the value proposition. That means, if I am sitting at a particular position in the value chain model, the objective of me as a company is to provide products or services which are of value, which is of importance, which is of benefit to my buyers. So, understanding a clear understanding of what are my value propositions, what are the features, benefits that my product or service has, and what are the features and benefits which are comparative from any other company, and what are its USP, and how the my customers see that benefit as, will basically help me understand, will basically help me identify the opportunities of selling or generating revenue. The second component is market segment. So, basically market segment is basically means that if I as a company am able to understand that what is the target market whom I want to cater, will basically help me understand that from where I have to generate revenue, what are the specific needs that my market segment has, what is their purchasing habit, what is their buying pattern, who are the people who influence them, and what is that they are looking for. So, that would basically help me offer my products and services accordingly. Then the third component, very important component, is values chain structure. Value chain structure basically is the chain of activities that I as an organization would be having in order to enhance the value of the product. That means, what are the different activities that I would be doing, what are the different kind of things or processes that I need to have in order to improve my in order to improve the value of the final converted product that I am offering to the to my customers. That means, what are the very for example, if there is a carpenter, and for producing his finished goods, he needs to do the cutting also, he needs to do the polishing also, if he needs to do the painting also, and how the involvement of all these three activities will ultimately help the carpenter improve the quality of the product, or improve the value of the product in the mind of the customers. That is what I need to understand, because for example, if I remove any one particular activity, what is the loss that I would have, whether that particular removal of one activity, whether that will depreciate the value of my final outcome. So, that is what needs to be understood by every organization. The next important aspect is creation of revenue and profit. Obviously, all these activities leads to creation of revenue and profit. So, the company must take in consideration and must focus on revenue and revenue generation, but not put in stake on other aspects. Then the company also needs to understand that what is the individual place or where they are positioned in the value network. That means, whether they are the supplier of the finished goods, or whether they are the supplier of raw material, or whether they are the supplier of any product which is a restricted product, which is not supplied by many people, or whether they are the supplier of any product which is very commonly available, or what is the usage of the product. This particular identification of the placement of the company in the value network will also help me negotiate, help me prepare the product and design and of the product accordingly. And the competitive strategy obviously is one important component of every e-business model, because as we have been discussing in the previous classes, that e-business is now not a place where not a place where less number of people are there. A lot of people who are entering into e-business, and so there are many people who are offering the products and services at a very competitive price, at a very competitive delivery process also. So, what are the competitive strategy, whether I have the sufficient resources, capabilities to offer the product and services at a competing rate, and whether all these resources and capabilities that I possess, whether they are sustainable or temporarily sustainable or non-sustainable. These are also the various factors that needs to be taken care of when a company is basically thinking of entering into any industry through the e-commerce business. So, now once we want now let us also talk about e-business models. Basically, e-business models are classified under two categories: models which are based on the relationship of transacting parties and relationship of transaction types. Since we are required to focus only on the transaction parties, so in this lecture of mine we would be talking about this particular aspect only. So, now let us talk about the various kinds of or the various types of e-business model based on the relationship of parties. And as we know that In case of e-business or e-commerce, since this particular concept is not restricted to any particular kind of industry or any particular kind of individual and has a very broad scope. So, all people are getting benefited, be it industry, be it consumers, be it government employees or any other citizen also. So, we will so the this particular model of which is based on the relationship of people, relationship of transacting parties, we have I mean efforts have been taken care by the people to prepare models on all these parties, which we will understand one by one. So, as from this particular picture you can see a very quick snapshot on how the relationship of transacting parties are, and these are the various kind of people who are attached and are attached through each other in the various forms. And so, you can see that at times government is attached to the customers, the citizens, the business, and so this completely makes a complete network of how people are attached, how people are connected, and how their relationship is basically happening, and what is the reasons, what are the reasons because of which they are in relationship for the e-business, and this is how. So, let us start with the business to business model. This basically business to business model talks about relationship between two people who are into businesses. That means both these parties, both the people who are into the business relationship are basically business owners or people who are doing business in their core areas, and the purpose of collaborating or connecting to each other is core business. That means they are not the end users. That means, for example, if this is for ease of understanding, you can say understand that in supply chain they could be people who are whom you can understand by taking the example of supplier or distributor, or supplier or manufacturer or distributor, or even the distributor or retailer. So, all these people, that means the supplier, the manufacturer, the retailer, the distributor, all these people are connected to each other because they want because they are wanting to have certain products which they can use for their trade purpose. They are ordering certain products which they can use for their trade purpose, for which they can further refine, maybe remanufacture or rework on it, or whatever they want to do for not their self consumption, but for further forwarding it to the end consumers. So, the definition is basically this business to business model is an inter-organizational interaction or transaction, and the reason of this particular model is of very great relevance because the value per transaction is very high. That means since they are two businesses which are getting connected. So, the amount of the quantity of product that they are ordering or they are selling to each other is in bulk quantities, because it is for their again for because the supplier may require certain the manufacturer may require certain raw material from another company, which would obviously be into huge quantity. So, this is one reason that this has a very high potential. And the different as from this particular example, this particular diagram, we can see that there is a business organization which is in connection with a wholesaler, and obviously these two are the business organizations, and since they want to have a business connection, they are ordering and processing these, they are doing it through the website. That means they are doing it through the online channel, and the purpose of wholesaler of procuring things from the business organization is obviously to sell it further down to the customer. So, over here the intermediaries involved is business organization, the wholesaler, and the next is obviously the website, which is into which is the technical intermediary, which you can say. The usefulness is that both these organizations will be able to have a direct interaction with each other at a very quick and faster speed. The sales promotion and all will also be very whatever things that the business organization wants to communicate with the wholesaler would be very fast, very transparent. There would be nothing which they would they can hide on. So, everything is very transparent. They would improve their efficiency because if the communication happens fast, then obviously the order processing and everything will happen fast. There is a wider scope of wider geographical coverage also, because this business organization need not restrict themselves for supplying the goods to any wholesaler who is within the city only. He can do it, he can have suppliers who want to purchase their goods through the online channel across the world also, and so the distribution cost will also get saved. So, these are the various characteristics, various benefits that both these organizations will get, because of which they are connected online. So, the process in business to business B2B kind of model is that the buyers determines the requirements and they fix the specifications. They tell that what is the kind of product that they want, they prepare their request for quotations, they ask for the quotations, and then there are various suppliers, the various sellers who basically try to justify, who sends the quotations to the buyer. And the buyer obviously considers the various quotations, tries to understand that who would be a more loyal one, who has better products, who has better rates, and so on. And depending on that, he finally decides the one ultimate supplier, and then obviously the request for quotation is being processed. Then the interested suppliers do bid also for the supplies, and then this is how online bidding also happens, and then finally the final seller is selected. Then we have another model which is called business to customer model. Business to customer model is when an organization is interacting or having a relationship with the end customer. As you can see from this diagram, the business organization is having a connect with the end customer. So, over here you can take an example of, let us say, Dell, HP, Samsung, Apple, anyone for example. So, if we are in requirement of a laptop or a mobile or something like this, we as a customer can have a direct contact with the business organization through a website. We can order the products through website, the orders will be processed and will be supplied to the customer. So, this is how it happens in business to customer. The products are sold directly. So, the benefit to the customer is that he would save on, he would save on the time, and he would also save on the intermediary, because there would be no intermediary in between. So, the cost, the price, the extra price that he needs to pay to the intermediary or the distributor will also get saved, and the same will be saved for the business organizations also, since there is no intermediary. So, he will pass on all the benefits to the customer directly. The shipment and the delivery is all fast, and as a customer I will have a direct contact with the business organization. So, there will be a complete transparency, and the cost at which I would be able to get the product will be also more much lesser, and I will have a more opportunity to compare it with the products across the industry, and even I can have the product which are not available in my city. I can have the product from any other part of the world also. So, these are the various usefulness, the benefits of B2C model. Then we have another model which is called C2C model. C2C model is basically called consumer to consumer model or citizen to citizen model. So, this is basically one relationship where any customer is having a relationship, e-business relationship with any other customer. And so, the very prominent examples of this is OLX, Quikr, Poshmark, etc., where any person who is possessing any kind of product and which is now maybe not of use to me, I can sell it to some other customer. Since I am not a business entity, I have only one particular item or one particular product. For example, it could be like furniture or electronic product which is not of use to me, which is in good working condition, and so, or maybe I have got relocated, and so there is requirement for me to cut off certain assets of mine. So, I as a customer of these already purchased products now want to get rid of those products. So, I am looking forward for any person who is in nearness, is who is close by and ready to purchase the product, because that particular product which I possess is of value to the other person. So, this is basically how, and for this obviously this is done through the website. So, as an example of OLX, Quicker or you also, you know that the customers post their details of the product on these websites, and through these websites the other customer gets to know, and they are able to receive the product also, and receive the money as well. So, this kind of relationship is C2C kind of relationship. Then we have C2B kind of relationship. C2B is customer to business. So, this is basically just opposite to B2C. Over here what happens, that the customer is having certain product which the company feels that yes, that is of relevance to the business, and so they are ready to purchase. So, it could be in the form of anything like, for example, recycling. I have used the product, now I want it to be recycled, and the company feels that yes, I can collect those material, and that will help as a raw material to me. So, I can send sell the sold newspaper, sell the old newspapers, I can sell the old electronic material, I can sell my old furnitures also. So, this is a kind of relationship where the customer is in contact with the business, but over here business is not selling to the customer, but vice versa is happening. That means, the customer is selling to the business. Then we have B2G and G2B. That means, where the two parties which are involved in this relationship is government, one of the party is government and the other party is business. This is also referred as public sector marketing, and is of great is now coming up with a lot of intensity, because this is one area where government is actually creating opportunity for the business organizations to supply their products to the government directly. Students, as you all know, that government is into lot of projects. It could be projects related to infrastructure, it could be projects related to technology, it could be related to education or any other industry. So, at times government also requires lot of supplies from the people. So, this is where the government tries to create e-portals, where people who want to, where the businesses who want to supply the products to the government can directly interact with the people from the government and bid their post and get the information about the various requirements of the government, can submit their quotations, can bid for their quotations, and the various very common and very popular government sites for such relationship is eBiz, which is India's first government to business portal, and there are various other state wise portal also, central government wise portal also, which provides such kind of opportunities. Then we have government to citizen kind of relationship model. There are times in the last 2 years, the last few months also, we have seen that the government has aided lot many people in terms of the various kind of subsidies, or rather government has provided lot of facilities. Government also keeps on providing lot of schemes and opportunities to the citizen to to collaborate, to combine, to get benefited too. So, so the government also wants that that people should directly communicate to these people, and for that the people should directly communicate to the government, and so they have also, government has launched various kinds of portals for the citizens also to post their queries, post their grievances, to know about the benefits and such kind of things. So, the very common ones are, for example, the Jan Sunwai portal, or such kind of portals where you can have a direct one-to-one contact with the government. Then we have government to government kind of model also, where two governments can interact with each other for providing information, for communicating through to each other, and this is a sort of online, this is a kind of no commercial transaction is required in such kind of business model. The whole purpose is sharing of information, sharing of details which are of relevance to the other government also. So, it could be from state to center government, or state to state government also. Then we have business to employee relationship models also, in which they are at times when the employer, the business organizations feel that the employees can also be a external customer to them, not only the internal but the external customer to them, and so companies tries to announce various kind of offers or products at a discounted rate to their employees, wants to offer products at a discounted rate. So, so they provide a platform which can be accessed only by the employees, and they can subscribe, they can order products from the company at a discounted rate, or maybe have information about the products or service of the company. So, this is business to employee model. Then we have B2B2C model, where a particular company who is in contact with the customer, who is in relationship with the customer, does not has a remote, does not has a, is not in the vicinity of the customer, and so tries to connect with another business organization which would supply the product to the customer. That means there are two business organizations, one who would receive the order from the customer, then it would contact the another business who would help deliver the particular product to the customer, because the second business is in vicinity to the customer. So, this is a kind of triangle which gets created, and this is basically the concept which is used by large companies which are different at distant geographical locations. Then we have peer to peer peer to peer kind of relationships also, where two people can be connected to each other for the purpose of sharing of resources. It could be directly through the web server, or and the best examples are like P2P network and the BitTorrent and the eDonkey and so. And so, with this you can understand that by properly understanding that what is the kind of relationship that is existing, and what are the kind of benefit that each of them are getting by connection with each other, you will be able to offer the products and services in a better manner. So, with this I finish up my session over here. For detailed understanding you can refer to these books. Thank you.